Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Critical Drinker. Finally, the Death of Girlbosses. I was waiting for this. Please like subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Let's give that chow. It's chow time.
Now, I believe it was Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Unfortunately, it doesn't work quite the same way in the world of corporate entertainment,
Nope.
where the rule would be better described as, for every 50 or so actions, there's an extremely belated and insufficient reaction. A good example of this would be the disastrous series of flops we've seen over the past year or two. Projects
I can't believe they made Thor into a simp, weak beta male. I was so sad by that movie.
like Rings of Power, Peter Pan and Wendy, Ahsoka, She-Hulk, Resident
Oh my god, She-Hulk. I was so upset by that.
Evil, Robin Hood, The Witcher, The Marvels, and most recently, Madam Web.
Why did you say that name?
I mean, let's be honest here, that was a movie that anyone with more brain cells than me after 6 pints of Skull Splitter knew was going to be a massive flop, despite having an opening weekend almost as long as its entire theatrical run if it carries on at this pace. I love this quote from The Hollywood Reporter from a North American distributor. On Wednesday night, you could actually watch advance ticket sales declining in real time as buyers were refunding their tickets. It really says something when you'd rather have Shazam 2 numbers. The point is that when a big flop like this happens, the access media tends to scramble to find a convenient and politically acceptable excuse. But in this case,
It's our fault, guys. It's our fault why these movies flopped. It's men. It's because we're misogynists. We don't go watch these movies enough. Blah, blah, fucking blah.
The Hollywood Reporter seems to have made an admission about the film's target audience that I don't think anyone expected. Quote, I don't know if women are enough to carry the box office here, one veteran studio source outside of Sony says. Indeed, males make up 65 to 70% of the superhero audience in North America. In the case of Madam Web, the percentage of female viewers was still only 46%. Now pay attention 007 because this one's important. Madam Web was a superhero movie specifically designed to appeal to a female audience. It's got a female lead, a trio of female supporting characters, a female director and a female-led writing team. And guess what? None of
sucks.
it helped. Women didn't turn out to see it. Not in the numbers they needed anyway. It was the same problem with The Marvels. That film had 3
Like, there's a reason why rom-coms, the Titanic, and like Avatar and stuff are as big as they are now. They were movies that really played into women's emotions, played into women's fantasies. Superhero movies, women are not imagining themselves saving the world, saving anything. I really don't think I see women dreaming of these things.
female leads, a female director, and an all-female writing team. And what happened to it? The male
Sucked.
audience was put off by a movie that did everything except ban them from attending screenings. The much-anticipated female audience failed to show up, and as a result, it was the biggest box office flop in MCU history. So tell me, what exactly did these two movies have in common? That's right, they both tried to pander to an audience that was never going to see them in the first place. You know, it's actually kind of funny reading articles from mainstream outlets that cover stuff like this, because it's like watching someone with an almost complete jigsaw puzzle who simply refuses to put the final piece into place because they don't like the picture that it forms.
Yep.
Well, if they won't do it, then I'll have to do it for them. Because here's an inconvenient truth, dear viewer. Men and women tend to be interested in different things.
Oh man.
Bro, stop telling so much truth out there, man. You're gonna get canceled.
God, oh man.
I know, it's truly an earth-shattering revelation, but there it is. In fact, if you care to break down the box office statistics by gender, you'll find that women make up 85% of audiences for romance movies and 70% for musicals. Men, on the other
What did I say?
hand, make up 70% of the audience for superhero movies, 75% for action movies, and 65% for science fiction and fantasy. In fact, this nifty little graphic from the British Film Institute breaks down the preferred genres for men and women, and you can clearly see the difference in preference between them. That's not a good or a bad thing, but it is a thing that movie studios should pay attention to. Instead, they've been doing the exact opposite in recent years. They seem to regard audience demographics as a problem that needs to be fixed.
I think these wokies, Hollywood wokies or whatever, are trying to force people to enjoy what they want to put out because they're lazy.
instead of the inevitable result of different groups of people having different interests. And the thing is, their solution has produced the worst possible outcome for everyone. In the case of the big box office franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, and others, which naturally tend to skew towards a male audience, they made a conscious decision to tell more stories with female leads. A lot more. There's nothing.
This is why it's so stupid that advertisers and all these companies want to really target women, because women spend the money, but they don't want to watch your shit. So how is that even going to make money? Instead of maybe trying to focus on the women, focus on the demographic that likes, enjoys that type of movie. That's how you guys ran before, and it worked great.
Nothing wrong with that on the face of it, but whether or not it works all comes down to implementation. Instead of writing likeable and distinctly feminine characters that complemented the existing male ones, the writers and creatives treated it more like a competition that only one side was ever allowed to win.
Yep.
A story about a female protagonist learning to free herself from the oppressive demands of others and discover her true potential is a perfectly viable story to tell. The problems creep in when that becomes the only story that you ever tell, and their standard practice of lazily taking stereotypical male traits and pouring them straight into female characters failed to win anyone over. Men were generally put off by the new crop of overbearing, aggressive, infallible girl bosses who seem to exist purely to show off and humiliate their male counterparts at every opportunity, while women
She-Hulk, man, made the Hulk look like a little bitch.
Women failed to connect with them either because they represented masculine ideals that didn't come naturally to them in a genre that most of them didn't particularly care for anyway. In short, Hollywood's wasted billions of dollars chasing an audience that doesn't exist, and in the process they've gradually pushed away the one that did. On the flip side, look at what happens when you actually understand your target audience and make a film that caters specifically to them. Barbie was the biggest hit of 2023, and even if I personally didn't like it, that doesn't matter one bit because it wasn't made for me. It was a movie written and directed specifically for women. Everything from its aesthetics to its dialogue to its themes and messaging were designed to appeal to female audiences, and it worked big time. Top Gun Maverick, on the other hand, was aimed primarily at men because it incorporated so many of the masculine tropes and themes that men traditionally find appealing. Action,
I really enjoyed the new Top Gun. It was really enjoyable.
and explosions, advanced technology, fighter jets, militarism, macho conflict and competition. Both of these films achieved massive success because they understood their core audience and how to appeal to them. Now imagine how detrimental it would have been if the studios tried to incorporate elements that appealed to the opposite gender. Like if Barbie's colourful exploration of female identity, empowerment and self-actualization was interrupted by big macho action scenes with guns and explosions and technology porn. Or Top Gun Maverick devoted lengthy sequences to a female pilot lamenting how difficult it is to gain respect in a male-dominated profession while
You know, even as like a YouTuber, I understand this. I have to put out what my audience wants to watch. My demographic is men, and it's men that really like watching women fuckery. So that's what I put up mostly, women fuckery. But I do put up a little bit of other things here and there, but I don't do as well. But I always try to stay within the themes of what you guys like to watch. It makes sense. If I just started trying to pander to women all of a sudden on my particular channel, I would probably lose all my audience. You guys would probably hate me. You guys would probably unsub me and ban me or, block me forever if I ever did this shit like that. It's the same shit.
maintaining her sense of feminine identity and her aspirations for marriage and family. In both cases, the core target audience would probably have rolled their eyes and thought, why do they have to inject this crap into my movie and totally spoil the fun?
Yep.
Well, congratulations, now you know how it feels to be a fan of any of the big franchises over the past decade or so. The thing is, I think the message is finally starting to sink in with the good people of Hollywood. Maybe not the creatives, but definitely the soulless money men paying their salaries who've spent the past several years watching their profit margins slowly fall off a cliff. Like I said earlier, for every 50 or so actions, there's a belated reaction from Hollywood, and it's finally starting to happen now. The first domino to fall is Silk Spider Society, a female-centric Spider-Man spin-off in development at Amazon Prime. According to the press releases, the entire writing team's been fired, and the show is being refocused with a more male-skewing audience in mind. Now, this might not sound like much of a big deal, but
I think Spider-Man is probably one of the biggest male characters out there. Like the story of Spider-Man, the origin of Spider-Man, the losing the uncle, the father figure, having to fucking, battle with society and how people view you and things like that. it's a very male dominated theme.
But it is, because it's the first time that a studio had the balls to publicly declare that they're targeting a project towards a male audience again. In 2024, that's the equivalent of a vegan restaurant saying that their new menu is going to cater towards meat eaters.
Yeah, they can't make movies for us anymore, guys. We're misogynists, remember?
It's the first time that anyone in Hollywood's openly admitted that what they've been pushing on us for the past decade or so just isn't working, no matter how much money they throw at it. That you can't make every movie appeal to every person. That trying to attract female audiences into a male-dominated genre with clumsy pandering doesn't work and never will work. In the words of Nerdrotic, all they're doing is taking boy brands that everyone could enjoy and turning them into girl brands that no one enjoys.
Correct.
So what exactly can we expect now that the pendulum's starting to swing the other way? And more importantly, what do we want to see moving forwards? Well, believe it or not, I don't think their approach needs to change that radically if they want to win back old fans and restore a bit of balance. Franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and Star Trek can still have plenty of kick-ass female heroes going on exciting adventures. They just need to be written more like actual human beings with believable flaws and weaknesses and challenges to overcome.
You know how to fix it? Have men write female characters. They always seem to do a better job with it.
Instead of overbearing, obnoxious power fantasies that nobody can identify with.
Yeah.
And they need to be balanced out by equally strong and capable male heroes that appeal to male audiences. Because believe it or not, those are the driving force behind your box office revenue. They need characters who can actually challenge and push them to be better, who don't automatically give way to them at the slightest sign of conflict, instead of the neutered lumps of wet lettuce that we've been getting, who are always portrayed as less smart, less skilled, less confident, and well, just less in general. And yeah, after almost a decade of trying to make it work, I think it's about time to accept that the great experiment has been a complete failure. You're not going to get equal numbers of women to watch science fiction or action or superhero movies, just like you're not going to get equal numbers of men to watch romance flicks or musicals.
The whole women and men are the same got all the way up to Hollywood's fucking bigwigs into their heads. It was like, oh, you know what? If they're the same, we can just make movies and interchange the characters, and everybody's just gonna still enjoy them because everybody's the same. Fucking idiots.
Girl boss concept is dead. You might not like it, but your audience is your audience all the same, and if you don't start catering to them, you might just find that they no longer exist, and perhaps neither will you. Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
Woo! Shout outs to Critical Drinker. I actually really enjoyed his monologue of just how things are happening in Hollywood. I brought this video up just to be a little bit more not so serious, and it sucks. I really enjoyed the movies. When I first got with my ex-wife, we went to the movies like every week. Movie going was such a big part of my life when I was like younger, or at least in my 20s. Now movies are just crappy. The experience is not as great. What happened, guys? Please like, subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. Catch you guys next time. Ciao.